Hello, and welcome to Chit Chat and All That with me, Amanda Prowse.
And me, Penny Dommett. Thank you for joining us for another weekly dose of chatter around the kitchen table.
Oh, that was nice, Pen. That was kind of warm and welcoming, I thought.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely. So yes, welcome, friend. And you can, of course, catch up on all previous episodes from wherever you get your podcast.
Yes, give us a like. Press the subscribe or follow button. Subscribe away.
I'm finding it incredibly disappointing that you've mastered the word.
I know. Follow sometimes is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, you slip from one to the other. I used to, you not being able to say subscribe used to be the highlight of my week.
And now I've managed it.
Yeah.
I have succumbed to the word subscribe.
You're just showing off now.
Yes, I am.
I might swap it out for another equally tantalising tongue twister for you, Pen. Like, I can't say the word linoleum.
No.
And I frequently put it in my books. I've told you this. And when I'm reading it, I know it's coming up and I'm like, and my heart starts pounding.
Does anyone ever have linoleum anymore?
Oh, lots of people.
Really? No, it's not called linoleum anymore. It's called vinyl flooring.
Is it?
Yes.
Look at you up on the trends.
No, it was because I tried to get some for my workshop floor.
Ah, and were you Googling linoleum and nothing was coming up?
Well, they sort of, I think it must have been something that was in the actual makeup of the product. That's why it was called linoleum.
Oh, like a brand name.
Yeah.
Ah.
And now it's called vinyl flooring.
I just say lino. Everyone knows
Lino.
what you mean. Bit of lino.
That's true.
That's
true. Yeah.
A little bit lino.
True.
So Pen, what have we been up to? Anything exciting? I've been up to nothing. Literally just working, head down, writing, editing.
I just wanted you to know, following last week's episode, I have followed the wonderful Solace in Devon.
Oh.
What an amazing woman she is.
She is.
Oh my goodness. Definitely follow as much as you can.
Penny, she'll be so chuffed to hear
Honestly,
that,
really, really incredible.
Mm.
And I know as well, you were saying the fact that I think she has something to do with autism, doesn't she?
Yes.
Her children, one of her children.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten to mention, when I did the This Morning programme,
Yeah.
I met the most wonderful couple of ladies who run Dogs for Autism.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, again, look them up online.
Yeah.
Follow them on Instagram. Really fascinating. I mean, you and I both love dogs, don't we?
We do.
And you have dogs, hearing dogs, you have dogs for assistance, disability dogs, blind dogs, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And I'd never actually heard of this before, but this morning have sponsored a puppy that they have put within this training program. His name's Buddy. He is
I
absolutely
remember the puppy
adorable.
coming on. I remember that for the first time.
Absolutely
Yeah.
adorable, called Buddy. And I was chatting to these ladies. Well, it's so fascinating. They train them because, I mean, I don't really know very much about autism, so I'll apologise now. But apparently, for some autistic children, they get very stressed at certain situations. And one of the ways that they are calmed is by having people hug them tight or cuddle them. And so they train these dogs, and the dogs pick up on whether the child is getting stressed.
It's very often because of a sensory overload. So, so they're very often sound sensitive or light sensitive, or sharp bangs, noises. It can be smells. It can be a million things. And very often a tight hug.
Yeah.
Which is...
So they actually train the dogs to lie on top of the child.
How beautiful.
And it's so amazing. She said they can sense it. So, for example, it might be in a supermarket and the child will sit on the floor and be sort of out of it. And the dog will come along and literally lie over the child's body until that child has calmed down. And then they'll all be able to get up and leave the supermarket. She said it's absolutely fascinating. And there was a young person that they had brought in. I'm really sorry, I can't remember the name. But with their dog that has been trained as a dog for autism. And they said this young person literally never spoke, didn't want to leave the room. And now with this dog, completely different person. They actually interviewed them on This Morning. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. I was I was blown away.
That's amazing.
Absolutely blown away. So follow them on Instagram.
Definitely.
Very interesting.
But isn't that wonderful, that kindness, Pen, that dogs can show, and that warmth? I mean...
And to be able to be trained like that.
Yeah, I mean...
To know that they can
incredible
tell.
skill of training.
Yeah. They don't actually know how the dog knows that they're having a sort of an episode coming on.
Or a need,
yeah. But they know they can train them.
But they're so intuitive, aren't they?
It's so clever.
I mean, I know that when I know I mentioned a few weeks ago when Simeon was grieving, still is, but it was at the height of his grief, if you want. The dogs didn't leave him alone, not for a second. And often they do. They sort of fluctuate between him and I, depending on who's warmest, who's closest to a snack. But yeah, they just wouldn't leave him alone. No. They were on him, literally on his lap or pawing at his arm. And it was really quite, he found it quite invasive with him, but also very comforting. Yeah. And I know if ever I'm feeling a bit under the weather, it's Pippin like that.
Yes. Yeah.
They know, don't they?
Although she's quite, how can I put it? An independent.
She's a bit cool.
Yeah, she is. She's a bit cool. But yeah, I did find that absolutely fascinating. So Hilary and the team at Dogs for Autism doing a fantastic job. Follow them.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's interesting. I'd like you to look at it anyway, Pen, and find out how that's done.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, it's these smaller charities that often need a little bit of help and a little bit of support and spreading the word, isn't it? Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. So we've had a funny old week. So I am, as you know, I do love a bargain, Pen.
I know.
I don't go shopping, as you know, because I also hate shops and I'm not very good with, crowds and that sort of thing. But if something catches my eye, then I am likely to go big, hard.
And you'll buy 4 of them.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this week...
Except pants,
which I still haven't rectified my pant deficit.
And I haven't been to get your happy pants.
Well,
I'm really sorry.
I am disappointed, but next time I will have more pants. But I saw on my regular supermarket shop that salmon, a big side of salmon, was less than half price. And what a treat to have a massive piece of salmon. I mean, that keeps us going for, 3 or 4 days. It's marvellous. And they were dirt cheap. So I thought, I'll buy a few. So I think I bought 5, put 4 in the freezer and cooked one. I made such a success of it that I went into hyperdrive, and I do this. We're having it all the time. It's like all we're eating.
So you're all fed
salmon.
up of salmon now.
Simeon's like, please, no more salmon. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm very grateful that you've cooked. That's wonderful, because I rarely do. He said, but can I just say, do you remember Pie Month? And I went, what? And he pointed out that when I either master a recipe, it's his teeth, they're not mine. When I either mastered a recipe or I'm trying to, I will cook nothing but. And when we lived in Germany, we had Pie Month because I wanted to know how to make a pumpernickel month. It was always pumpernickel month. Pumpernickel. But I was making pastry and filling and pies. And I made meat pies, chicken pies, cheese and onion pies, apple, you name it, it went in a pie. If I'd had salmon, Pen, it would have gone in a pie. And he said, after a month, I had to say, Mandy, please, I can't see or hear or face another bit of pie. He rarely eats a pie now because I put him off. And he pointed out, this is what I do. Do you do that? Have you ever done that?
No, even more boring. I tend to have a sort of 6 recipes that just go round the week. And then we have a roast on a Sunday. I mean, I just do, because we're all busy, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I do always cook. So even if it's just the 2 of us, we will have a roast dinner fit for 10.
I have noticed.
Yeah, and then we eat it for the rest of the week.
Yeah, lovely.
Because we do leftovers.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but I met someone the other day. Their husband refuses to eat the same thing the next day.
Don't be, what?
I know.
Is it a joke?
It's even better, isn't it? It's better the next day.
Yes, cauliflower cheese. Hello.
I did a slow-cooked brisket of beef.
Oh, nice.
Lovely big brisket of beef. It's fantastic the next day. It's much better.
Yeah.
Much, much better. Yeah. We're actually having it curried tonight.
Lovely.
Yes.
Nice. I like that. But that's what we used to do, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a cheap way of doing it.
Yeah, cook one piece of meat on a Sunday.
Yeah.
My nan and obviously I know my parents did the same thing. You cook a piece of meat on a Sunday, you have it in the roast, and then you have it,
cold the next day
with chips and beans.
We have it with salad.
Of course you do.
And the roast potatoes are chopped up and fried.
Yeah, lovely.
So slightly chips.
And then sandwiches at the end.
Yeah, no, we never get to the sandwiches because I don't really do. I say I don't do bread. I know I bake bread, but
not for a while. I have noticed.
No, I know. I haven't had time.
Well, yeah.
And I've got a confession.
What?
I think I might have killed Bruce. Yeah.
That disgusting thing that lurked in your fridge
I think
and bubbled at you.
my sourdough starter, Bruce.
Oh.
I think he is no more.
Oh.
I know you can revive them, but
I'm
to be
actually
honest,
devastated because it was the best bread I've ever had. Literally.
I think I will have to get a new one and call it something else.
Bruce too, obviously.
No.
Bruce Almighty. There'll be a name somewhere.
Yeah, there'll be a name somewhere. So it will be roast dinner, cold with salad the next day, cottage pie on the following day, curry on the final day, so that you can't taste it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Funny, we were talking about shopping habits, Mum and I, the other day, because similarly, she was saying that she also used to do something until she perfected it. And she remembers when we were all little, she was learning to cook profiteroles, which is a little round little chocolate eclair in it. And she did that constantly. And we now, none of us can look at one. It's like, oh no, that thought, that memory of just having a mouth full of them. And we were saying how our shopping habits, it used to be that you would go to the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, obviously, and go to all your individual suppliers and then maybe go to a supermarket for maybe your cereals and things that you needed. But you went to individual shops if you could.
Yes.
Superstores, large supermarkets, they killed all those small individual sort of artisan suppliers, and people started shopping in one shop. But recently, me, and I know you too, we've almost gone back to it slightly in that even if we're not going to an artisan provider because maybe they're not available or it's expensive or whatever, we are getting different things from different shops. So I will get things that I know are cheaper so I go to Lidl and Aldi for things like jam, biscuits, washing powder, all that kind of stuff. Then if I want something a bit more fancy, I might go to sort of a Waitrose or a Marks as a one-off. Do you do that? Do you think we're doing that more?
I'm terrible. I hate shopping. I hate going to the supermarket. So this wonderful, let's call it old-fashioned.
Yeah.
The traditional way of shopping. And we're very lucky because I think in slightly more rural areas, we do still have those independent shops a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I've always bought meat from a butcher. I actually don't think I can buy meat from a supermarket. I think in the bad old dark days of when welfare of animals wasn't perhaps quite so good and cheap meat was at the forefront, then
it's
I
still
think
around Penn, honestly.
supermarkets
still,
really did. They managed to provide a lot of cheap meat for obvious reasons. So I've always had a really good first name terms with my butcher.
Who is your butcher?
I go to Perry's in Alveston, which are fantastic.
Yeah.
And also Cam Butcher, which is slightly more in Gloucestershire. Farm shops also normally have a really, really good butcher section.
They do. Sometimes they're so expensive.
They are expensive. But you see, my theory is, wouldn't you prefer for that meat to have been bred well, had a good life and a good death?
Yeah, definitely.
And provide you with better quality meat. So have less of it.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's a wonderful ethos. I'm totally on board. But if you're trying to feed a family on a budget, you know, you just...
I know all...
It's that tightrope, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I don't eat meat. So for me, it's...
But for example, we talked last week about... or was it last week or just a moment ago? Just a moment ago. About brisket.
Yes.
Brisket is one of the cheapest cuts of meat you can buy.
Mm.
And I mean, I am always quite surprised when he tells me of this lovely big joint. Here you go.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
You know. Because it's... Where does brisket come from? I'm not sure.
Is it a cow?
Yes. Oh, yeah, it's cow, but it's beef.
So that's not what
beef.
you meant.
I've got the feeling it might be on the chest somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure. My butcher would be so cross at me.
So it's worked hard.
Yes. So it has to be cooked really slowly. Slow cookers are a really cheap way of cooking meat.
Yeah.
Do you follow Nancy Birtwistle?
No.
Oh, because I know she has some quite good ideas about cooking and doing it economically.
Oh, does she?
Yes.
Oh, I'll give her a follow.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely give her a little follow. She's great, Nancy. I know. Did she win Bake Off? I think she did.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I'm sure she did.
But the point I was trying to make was...
Before you were rudely interrupted.
Is if you have a slow cooker, I think it doesn't use very much electricity. You can put a very cheap cut of meat into it and it really makes it tender.
Yeah.
Really makes it tender.
Mm.
I mean, I remember when I was first married, we used to have things like neck of lamb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really cheap. I mean, it used to be a cut of meat that they used to throw away.
Yeah.
Delicious. Absolutely delicious. If you cook it slowly. Not that I'd have it necessarily now, but if you cook it slowly. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to necessarily be a sirloin
Supreme
steak.
fillet of whatever.
Yes.
Where do you stand on offal? Not literally. I like to push
on the edge. You stand on the edge. Awful. Oh, there was something on television. Was it Masterchef or something like that? I'm afraid I'm Masterchef'd out.
What?
Yeah,
Don't
I know you love
even
it.
say
I know you
that,
love it.
Penny.
I just don't think I could watch another series. I'm done.
I'm obsessed. I watch all the ones in the UK, the celebrity, the ordinary, the absolutely super clever professional one. I watch them from all over the world.
No, I just can't. Actually, I do like Bake Off Professionals. That's interesting.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's sort of patisserie chefs from hotels and things.
Is that with Sherry and the French guy?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean,
I've
it's
seen
hilarious.
a couple. They're brilliant.
Ellie Taylor does it now.
She's clever.
And the lovely...
Isn't she beautiful?
Oh, she is very beautiful.
Absolutely
she is very
beautiful. Woman. Yeah.
I famously, I mean, this is my claim to fame, when she was first doing stand-up and Joel was doing stand-up, I was there as one of the very few members of the room above the pub watching them do their stand-up.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's really sweet that the lovely group of friends that Joel had when he was first doing stand-up have sort of risen the ranks together.
Yeah.
And they're all still those young people that were trying desperately to make ends meet. You know?
Wonderful.
And they're still as lovely.
Isn't that
still
great?
As lovely. Yes, definitely.
Love that, Pen.
Where were we going with this?
We were talking about offal.
We were talking bollocks, literally.
Every time you swear, I swear to God, a fairy dies. A little fairy somewhere in my garden goes, oh, and they're gone.
So on Masterchef, they were doing sweetbreads. And you know, for years, I thought it was a little bit of shoe pastry or something rolled up.
It's a gland from here, from the throat.
No, it's not. It's testicles.
No, it's not.
It is.
Sweetbreads.
Sweetbreads are testicles.
No, Penny.
They jolly well are.
No, I can't believe it.
No, they are. Dear listener, text in. Back me up here. They are testicles.
I thought they were like a gland from the throat.
No, who's got a gland in their throat?
All of us,
big
Penny.
enough.
Oh, big cows. I mean, if you had one, it'd be noticeable. On a big cow.
It's
right?
an Adam's apple.
Is that right?
Yes, it's a
no,
testicle.
It can't be.
It is.
But have you ever seen a
testicle?
I've seen one or two. Have you ever seen a cow's testicle?
You don't see them very often because they're bulls.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen a bull's testicle?
Yes.
Because they're like the size of a house. And those sweetbreads are quite small.
Yeah, but they chop them up.
Ah, that explains it.
And they put them in flour and breadcrumbs and things.
Penny, I'm sure it can't be.
It is.
But, I mean, what?
Have you ever had tripe?
No, of course not.
My father-in-law used to love a bit of tripe. And I used to
talk a lot of it.
I used to think it looked a bit like a fur coat.
Oh, actually, I have a confession to make. So I have been a vegetarian. I think I already told you a story, but I have been a vegetarian since I was 2. And even up until the age of 2, I only ate certain things, like a little bit of chicken if it was forced on me and things like that. I've never eaten red meat. I've never eaten pork or anything like that. And I went on a book tour to a country that shall remain nameless. And I was taken out.
At the age of 2?
No, as a grown-up.
Oh, right, you said at the age of 2 you became a vegetarian.
Yes, comma.
Right, okay. How important are commas? I was thinking she was a young starter. Anyway, carry on. You were in a country that will remain
nameless and was a guest of honour at a banquet and was served a dish that was a national delicacy, and it was a soup, and it was quite oily and a bit cloudy kind of thing you might put down the sink after you've finished washing up. And it was really lovely, and I was really honoured. And I took a sip, and it was probably one of the foulest concoctions I've ever had on my lips. And it was tripe soup.
Oh.
And I obviously couldn't be rude and say, I'm so sorry, I don't eat meat. So I said, thank you. I mean, I'm quite full, but I'll have a bit. And I ate maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls, and it was absolutely foul. And there was this sort of floaty blanket of sort of creasy stuff in it. And that was the tripe. I'd never seen it before, but it's almost like a furry.
It looks like a bit of a fur coat, a bit of a rug.
I don't even think about it. It's actually making a penny.
My father-in-law, literally, it was a delicacy for him.
Yes, tripe and onions.
Yeah,
my nan used to cook it.
Absolutely loved it. And even
cheap
now,
food.
It was cheap. And I used to. But you see, I know people, and farmers especially, who say if you are going to rear animals for meat, it's a disservice to them not to use every single bit.
I agree with that entirely.
Which
nose to tail.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with it. Yeah, completely. And I know that a lot of, I find it's difficult for me because I'm quite, I wouldn't say anti-meat because that would be unfair and slightly controversial, but I do find it a bit, it turns my stomach, and it's just not a choice I make.
But you don't like the taste either, do you? You don't like the texture?
The idea of it, the texture. I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to put anyone else off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm very conscious of that. And I know that when I hear things about certain things, I'm like, I'm never eating that again. I do very occasionally eat fish, but I used to eat fish a lot. Even fish, I probably eat. I never say I'm a vegetarian. Well, I do, but, hardly ever, because I do occasionally eat fish, and that's me.
Yeah.
So, but I probably eat fish maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
When you come to my house, because I can
exactly. But no, I've cut right down on that as well. It just all feels a bit revolting to me. I don't know why. And I must say, I'm thriving on my diet. I'm thriving and I'm doing really well.
You really are.
I feel good, skin, hair, everything. So I don't feel like I'm missing out too much. But I do take supplements and things. Anyway, where are we going with this? Nose to tail. I think it's vital. And a lot of the farmers around here, what they can't process, they use as feed for their dogs, and it's all sort of in the mix, literally. We got to change the subject, Pen. Honestly, my stomach's feeling a little bit floaty. People are saying, newspapers, I've heard, that there's a possibility, and they always say we've had a pants summer, as though there's this glimmer on the horizon of sunshine, that we may be getting an Indian summer. Any thoughts, weather guru, weather obsessed one?
Well, of course, every year when we've had a pants summer, obviously not a happy pants summer.
No.
They say, but we're going to have an Indian summer. They said that last year and we didn't. I think that there have been times. I remember a few years ago, it was all in the newspapers, people were having barbecues on the 23rd of October because the weather was so amazing. But it still feels wrong at this end of the year to be having very hot weather. Lovely to have a bit of balmy, 20 degrees, but then the days are so short.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
And so that's what makes it a bit more difficult. I have reached the point where I almost don't bother listening to the weather forecast because it is what it is. We start maintenance soon, and we just have to keep our fingers crossed that the weather will be kind enough to us that we don't have to reschedule stuff all the time.
Just sort of go with it.
Yeah, but last year was the weirdest weather year. I mean, it seemed to be, to me, experts might say differently. It seemed
you
to
are
be,
the expert, Pen.
The seasons seem to be getting more confused.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you think it should be dry and warm, it's not, and then it's raining when you're not expecting it to. So, hey, we've just got to go with what we're given, really.
And I suppose if we are lucky enough, we should go and seek the sunshine. She says, planning her trip to India. I wanted to ask you, actually, if you have, on your bucket list that isn't a bucket list.
Yes.
Is there one place that you think, I want to go there, I will visit there one day?
I've told you this before, and we keep saying we're going to go. I want to go to Norway.
Yeah.
I want to go to Norway. I want to have a husky sleigh ride. I want to see the Northern Lights.
You don't want much, Pen.
No. Please, if we could avoid going in boats because they make me feel very sick.
I'm aware.
And the other thing that I've always wanted, so if you could arrange this, please, on my bucket list that's not a bucket list.
Do my best.
I want to see Wales.
Oh,
as in Wales.
Not over the bridge.
No, not over the bridge.
You've been there.
But let you see again because I'm not very good on boots.
That's the trouble. It's going to be tricky, Pen. I've got to be honest.
I have done some research, and there are a couple of places where you can actually watch whales from the land.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I will have to do a bit of, have a few tablets and
get your shakti out.
Yeah. Get my shakti out. Have a few tablets and be able to enjoy it and then sleep for a week.
Yeah.
I have watched, I think, was it Lorraine Kelly who did, she goes to the Antarctic or somewhere, doesn't she? And sees all sorts of amazing things. I don't know what it is about whales.
No.
I feel really almost spiritual about whales.
Do you know, I feel similar, but I would be nervous to go and see a whale because I think up close they could be a bit scary. That's me being a chicken.
Somebody once said to me, if you've never been on safari, you do not realise how massive an elephant is until you see it in real life.
Yeah, and it's close to you.
Yeah.
I can imagine. But I saw a documentary, as you know, I love a bit of wildlife documentary when I'm not watching the Durrells or Masterchef. And I saw this documentary about people who were whale watching, and they all said that there was something very spiritual about it, that once they'd seen a whale up close, once they'd had that interaction with something so vast in our universe that they can't even contemplate the size of it, they felt changed. I've heard something similar from astronauts who look back at the Earth. Apparently it changes you and your whole perspective on your life, yourself, our environment, everything. And I thought, I can imagine that. I find it very moving.
Yes. I mean, I don't know why. I can't remember reading books about whales when I was little or anything like that. But I just think somehow they are wise and old and all-knowing.
Almost mythical as well.
Yes.
I think it's partly their size, isn't it? But also their eyes. There's something about a whale's eye, the way they look at you. Obviously they're not looking at you, but they're intense.
Well, I mean, I would just love to be that close.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that close,
Closer than here in the kitchen.
To be able to see it in reality.
Yeah.
I think that's what would be incredible.
So
those are two things. Yes.
So Northern Lights
and Wales.
In
if I could see
Norway.
them both together, that'd be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Double whammy.
That's some photo pen. That's going in the National Geographic Award competition thing that you see on the line. Oh, brilliant.
What would you like?
Oh, gosh. India is still, that's it. I can't wait to go to India. I'm just so excited.
My phone's going ping,
I know.
ping, ping, ping.
Here's a picture of this. Here's a picture of that. Here's a picture of this. I know I'm going to bore you all rigid.
No, it won't be boring. I'll be there with you.
You will, in spirit.
Oh, yeah.
You all right, Penny?
Oh,
Penny, you all right?
Yeah, I've got cramp.
Penny's got cramp. Penny! Penny, I'm sorry, I'm doing nothing to help but laugh. Listen, I'm going to wrap this up and say thank you so much for tuning in to our episode this week. We really appreciate it. She's been hopping around the kitchen. That was most scary, Pen. Did you like how great I was in the emergency?
Yeah.
Staring, laughing, and going,
all you cared about was that I didn't bash the computer.
I know, and wrapping up the podcast.
Yeah.
You're all right, Mandy.
I am all right. Do you know, I keep getting cramp. I must take more magnesium.
Eat a banana. That's what they say, isn't it?
Is that right?
Apparently. Go for one of your massages. Anyway, yes, thank you so much for tuning in. As you know, our episodes drop every Friday, and you can, of course, catch up on previous episodes from wherever you get your listening. Thank you, Mason Wilkins, our fabulous producer, as ever. Until next time. Pen, what's the name of our Instagram page?
Oh, it's @thechitchatters. Message us.
Do message us. Until next time. Take care.
Bye.